After studying this module, you shall be able to understand the concept of health capital and the demand for health as described by Grossman's model of health services, understand the stock approach to demand for health, analyze the role of human capital and market and non-market efficiency in health market. Number of studies have been done on human capital and health during the past few years. People invest on themselves to enhance their ability and increase their productive capacity. Expenditure on education and health is widely accepted as investment by economists because it creates productive asset in the form of human capital. Grossman has developed a model on demand of healthcare services where he has emphasized that investment in healthcare services generates good health, which helps in not just improving individual productivity and produces monetary benefit but also enters their utility function through production of commodities for which one of the input is good health. In this lesson, we will try to understand the important findings of Grossman's healthcare model. In this model, health is viewed as a durable capital stock that produces healthy lifestyle and time. One of the important findings of the model is that shadow price rises with age as rate of depreciation of health stock rises over the lifespan and falls with education. The model has further shown that with increase in the shadow price quantity of health demanded decreases and the demand for of healthcare services increases. In the model, the level of health of a person is an endogenous variable and depends on resources of its production. It is demanded as consumption commodity and enters the utility function and as an investment commodity in form of total time availability for market and non-market activities. The demand for healthcare services is not for these services per se but for good health. In the model, individual produces commodity with input of market goods and time, for example, use of time and books to produce knowledge. Therefore, demand for goods and services are derived demand. It is stated that quantity of health demanded should be negatively related to shadow price.
Stock approach model. In the approach, the utility function of an individual is defined as U is equal to U is a function of phi 0 h 0 till phi n h n z 0 till zn. Equation 1, where H0 is initial health stock, Hi is health stock in ith period, phi I is per unit stock service flow, and Hi is equal to phi I Hi is total healthcare consumption. Zi is consumption of other commodities in ith period. Death occurs when Hi is equal to H minimum. So the question is to maximize utility subjected to resource and production constraints. Also, net investment is Ht plus 1 minus Ht is equal to Ii minus delta I into Hi. Equation 2. Ii is gross investment and delta I is the depreciation rate which is exogenous in the model. Consumer has gross investment in health and commodities in the utility function as per the individual production function. II is equal to II is a function of Mi Thi Ei. Equation 3a. Zi is equal to Zi is a function of Xi Ti Ei. Equation 3b, where Mi is medical care, Thi and Ti is time inputs, Xi is goods input in the production of Zi, Ei is stock of human capital. Further, assumption of Grossman's model is homogeneous production function of degree 1. Ii is equal to Mi g function of Ti Ei, where Ti is equal to Thi upon Mi equation 4. Delta Ii upon delta Thi is equal to delta G upon delta Ti is equal to G dash equation 5a. Delta Ii upon delta Mi is equal to G minus Ti G dash equation 5b. Budget constraint is defined by equating the present value of outlays on goods and earning income over the life cycle. Summation Pi into Mi plus Vi into Xi upon 1 plus R raised to the power I is equal to summation Wi into Twi upon 1 plus R raised to the power I plus A0 equation 6. Here Pi, Vi are prices of Mi and Xi respectively, Wi wage rate, TWI hours of work, A0 property income. TWI plus TLI plus THI plus TI is equal to omega equation 7. TLI is equal to omega minus HI equation 8. R is equal to interest rate. Total time available in a given period omega is equal to 365 days. TLI is time lost due to illness. In Grossman's model, TLI is negatively related to stock of health, with constant rate of depreciation increase in THI leads to increase in II, and thus HI plus 1 therefore will reduce TLI. Substituting 7 in 6, we get the full wealth constraint as summation Pi Mi plus Vi Xi plus Wi in bracket TLI plus THI plus Ti upon 1 plus R raised to the power I is equal to summation Wi into omega upon 1 plus R raised to the power I plus A0 is equal to R equation 9. Equation 9 states that full wealth is equal to initial wealth. Equilibrium is obtained by maximizing utility function 1 subjected to 2, 3, and 9. Hence, given the exogenous stock of health and rate of depreciation, the optimum quantity of gross investment will determine the optimal health capital. Optimality conditions. The optimality conditions for gross investment in period I minus 1 are pi I minus 1 upon 1 plus r raised to the power I minus 1 is equal to Wi into gi upon 1 plus r raised to the power I plus 1 minus lambda I into Wi plus 1 into gi plus 1 upon 1 plus r raised to the power I plus 1 plus till plus 1 minus delta I till 1 minus delta n minus 1 into Wngn upon 1 plus r raised to the power n plus u hi upon lambda into gi plus till plus 1 minus lambda I till 1 minus lambda n minus 1 into uhn upon lambda into gn equation 10. The discounted marginal benefits or marginal product of health capital are gi into wi upon 1 plus r raised to the power I plus u hi upon lambda equation 10b. gi is the marginal product of health capital, which measures change in number of healthy days due to change in stock of health. Basically, consumers desire health for market activities and non market activities as appeared in their utility function. To convert marginal products in value terms, their monetary value is expressed with wages and money value of utility. So, by converting to value terms, we obtain discounted marginal value to consumers of the output produced by health capital. Pi I minus 1 is equal to P I minus 1 upon G minus T I minus 1 into G dash is equal to W I minus 1 upon G dash. Equation 11. Here UHI is equal to delta into U upon delta into HI, which measures the marginal utility of healthy days, where lambda is equal to marginal utility of wealth, GI is marginal product of health stock in producing healthy days, pi I minus 1 is marginal cost of health investment gross in period I minus 1. The above equations of the model states that present value of marginal cost of gross investment in period I minus 1 is equal to present value of marginal benefits. We have obtained the optimal amount of gross investment and obtained the minimizing cost condition of production of given quantity of gross investment. Assuming positive gross investment in period I, we have pi I upon 1 plus r raised to the power I is equal to W I plus 1 into G I plus 1 upon 1 plus r raised to the power I plus 1 plus 1 minus delta I plus 1 into W I plus 2 into G I plus 2 upon 1 plus r raised to the power I plus 2 plus till plus 1 minus delta I plus 1 till 1 minus delta n minus 1 into Wn into Gn upon 1 plus r raised to the power n plus uhi plus 1 upon lambda into g I plus 1 plus till plus 1 minus delta I plus 1 till 1 minus delta n minus 1 into UHN upon lambda into GN. Equation 12. From 10 and 12, GI in bracket WI plus UHI upon lambda 1 plus R raised to the power I is equal to pi I minus 1 in bracket R minus pi I minus 1 delta plus delta I. Equation 13a. Here pi I minus 1 delta percentage rate of change in marginal cost. This equation describes the condition for demand for capital goods in perfect market where value of marginal product of optimal health stock at any point in time is equal to supply price of capital. But since health capital is not like other forms of capital like automobiles, cars, and other durables, therefore one cannot sell it in the capital market. Hence, gross investment is always greater than or equal to zero. At equilibrium, value of marginal product of stock is equal to used cost of capital. The important observations from above results are: exchange of stock of health over periods is possible, therefore, to produce 1 unit increase in the stock of health in period I, gross investment must be increased by 1 unit in period I minus 1. If increase in gross investment in period I minus 1 is simultaneously combined with fall in it in period I by 1 minus delta I, the HI increase only by 1 unit. The magnitude of reduction in gross investment is smaller, greater the rate of depreciation. Money value of gross investment is large, greater is the increase in marginal cost over time. Depreciation and capital gains are important components of user cost of health. Yi plus Ai is equal to R minus pi I minus 1 delta plus delta I. Here Yi is equal to Wi into Gi upon pi I minus 1 and R is equal to rate of return on health investment, and AI is equal to UHI plus 1 plus R raised to the power I into GI upon lambda. At equilibrium, total rate of return on health investment is equal to user cost of health capital expressed as price of gross investment, which equals to real own rate of interest plus rate of depreciation. Here interest is measured as interest foregone for investing in health capital and not investing in other forms of capital. Pure investment model. Healthy days yields utility and sick days disutility. Therefore, the two are complements to each other. If healthy days are not a variable that enters the utility function, then we have health as investment commodity only. So, in this section, to simplify the implications of the theory and in order to compare health capital with other forms of capital, we restrict it only as an investment and neglect its consumption aspect. The optimality condition by equating marginal utility of healthy days equal to 0 is given as Wi into Gi upon pi I minus 1 is equal to Yi is equal to R minus pi delta I minus 1 plus lambda I. Equation 14. It is assumed that gross investment is greater than 0, as 0 gross investment will result in cost of capital always greater than its marginal benefits. By eliminating health from the utility function, the full wealth constraint is R dash is equal to A0 plus summation Wi into Hi minus pi I into II upon 1 plus R raised to the power I. Equation 15. The optimality condition obtained by I minus 1 upon 1 plus R raised to the power I minus 1 is equal to Wi into Gi upon 1 plus R raised to the power I plus 1 minus delta I into Wi plus 1 into Gi plus 1 upon 1 plus R raised to the power I plus 1 plus till plus 1 minus delta I till 1 minus delta n minus 1 into Wn into Gn upon 1 plus R raised to the power n. Equation 16. Pi I upon 1 plus R raised to the power I is equal to Wi plus 1 into Gi plus 1 upon 1 plus R raised to the power I plus 1 plus 1 minus delta I plus 1 into Wi plus 2 into Gi plus 2 upon 1 plus R I plus 2 plus till plus 1 minus delta I plus 1 till 1 minus delta n minus 1 into Wn into Gn upon 1 plus R raised to the power n. Equation 17. Optimal stock of health capital at any point I is determined by MEC curve, or the negatively sloped demand curve, which shows the relationship between stock of health and rate of return on its investment, and supply curve S, which determines the relationship between stock of health and cost of capital, which is infinitely elastic because cost of capital is not related to stock of health. MEC is negatively sloped due to diminishing marginal product of health capital, which is reasonable to assume with the upper limit of 365 healthy days. Equilibrium is established at a point where MEC curve demand is equal to S curve supply as shown in figure 1. Production function of healthy days shows a relationship between health stock and number of healthy days as shown in figure 2. Its slope measures the marginal product of health capital. At death, that is H minimum, number of healthy days equals to 0. The curve depicts diminishing marginal product of health capital. Healthy time increases at decreasing rate and eventually approaches 365 days. Investment in health is different from investment in education as the latter increases wage rate but the former is assumed not to be a determinant of wage rate in Grossman's pure investment model. He states that stock of knowledge determines market and non market productivity, whereas health stock determines total amount of time to spend on producing money earnings and commodities. So, individual not earning wages also has an incentive to invest in health. It is assumed that cost of gross investment and its percentage change over the life cycle are exogenous variables since input prices are given and the production function exhibits constant returns to scale. Therefore, individual immediately reaches their desired capital stock by altering the marginal product of health capital. He found that his presentation of health capital is different from human capital. Rise in rate of depreciation on stock of health or human capital will bring disequilibrium. In the health model, a rise in marginal product of health capital will restore equality, whereas in human capital model, fall in marginal cost through decline in gross investment will restore equality. Variation in depreciation rate over the life cycle. In the above section, we have studied Grossman's model of demand and gross investment in health over the life cycle. In this section, we will find the partial effect of increase in age on demand of health. All other variables like wage rate, knowledge stock, marginal cost, and product etc. are held constant. Since we assume that marginal cost is independent of age, equation 14 reduces to yi is equal to r plus delta I. Equation 18. If depreciation is independent of age, then no net investment after the initial period. Under constant depreciation rate, individual will choose an infinite life if they choose to live beyond period 1. If rate of depreciation depends on age, then negatively correlated with age initially and then positively correlated at older age. Increase in cost of health capital due to increase in depreciation rate reduces the optimal health stock. As shown in figure 3, the amount of decrease in optimal stock is positively related to the elasticity of MEC curve. The decrease in stock of health over the life cycle is measured by differentiating equation 18 with respect to age. Hi delta is equal to minus Si epsilon I delta I delta equation 19. Dhi delta upon di is equal to Hii delta is equal to minus Si into 1 minus Si into epsilon into delta square. Equation 20. Here H tilde is equal to minus delta into log of Hi upon delta into log of Yi is equal to minus delta into log of Hi upon delta into log of Gi. Si is depreciation share in health capital cost. Since the share of depreciation in cost of health capital increases with age, the absolute value of HI tilde increases with life cycle. With continuous growth of depreciation rate, after some point individual will foresee to live a finite life which ultimately falls to H minimum and healthy time equal to 0. Potential earnings and total utility will be zero at death. However, fall in health capital over lifetime is complemented with increased constant or decrease in gross investment because an increase in depreciation rate reduces the demand of health capital on one hand and also reduces the amount of capital supplied to them by gross investment. When supply change is less than the demand change, individual will increase gross investment. Gross investment is equal to net investment plus depreciation. Log of II is equal to log of HI plus log of HI tilde plus delta I. Equation 21a. Differentiating with respect to age, I tilde is equal to Hi tilde square plus delta I into Hi tilde plus Hii tilde plus delta I into delta I tilde upon Hi tilde plus delta I. Equation 21b. If delta I tilde and epsilon I were constant, then we have I tilde is equal to delta into 1 minus Si into epsilon into delta I minus Si into epsilon into delta plus Si square tilde into epsilon into delta square tilde upon delta I minus Si into epsilon into delta tilde. Equation 22. Since gross investment cannot be negative, it follows from equation 22 that gross investment is positively related to depreciation rate if elasticity of MEC is less than 1. Given the healthy days production function, HI is equal to 365 minus BHI raised to the power minus C, equation 23. And MEC schedule. Log of Yi is equal to log BC minus C plus 1 into log HI plus log W minus log pi. Equation 24. Elasticity of MEC schedule is given as epsilon is equal to negative delta into log Hi upon delta into log Yi is equal to 1 upon 1 plus C less than 1 since C is greater than 0. A constant depreciation rate along with increase in gross investment increase the health stock and number of healthy days. But with increasing depreciation rate, old people will make large gross investment than young individuals. It can be concluded from this that sick time is positively related to medical care and time input. MEC elasticity of less than 1 medical care and need is positively correlated. MEC curve shifts with change in marginal product of health capital and marginal cost of gross investment and affect the health demand. In this section, we find the effect of change in the variables wage rate in market efficiency and human capital non market efficiency that determines MEC on the healthcare demand. It is assumed that real interest rate, depreciation rate, and elasticity of MEC are constant. D into log I upon dx is equal to D into log h upon dx. Equation 25. The above equation states that a unit change in x produces equivalent change in health and gross investment. Market efficiency, the wage effect. The incentive to attain a healthy time increases when wage rate increases. It also leads to a substitution of market goods for individuals' own time. The substitution takes place till the equilibrium is reached where value of marginal product VMP consumption time equals the wage rate. MEC and wage rate is correlated positively, which implies health demand is positively related to wage rate. Also, healthcare services demand will increase with increase in wages. Due to increase in wage rate, MEC curve shifts upward and increase the optimal stock of health as shown in figure 4. Elasticity of health demand. EHW is equal to 1 minus K into epsilon, equation 26. The elasticity of health demand with respect to wages is large with increase in share of medical care in gross investment and if elasticity of MEC is large. Non-market efficiency, human capital and health. In this section, we will study the impact of education to test claim that more educated individuals are efficient producers of earnings. That is, education increases non market productivity. The index of human capital, marginal product of education is RH is equal to delta I upon delta E is equal to m g minus t g dash upon I into g hat minus t g dash into g dash hat upon g minus t g dash plus th into g dash upon I into g hat. Equation 27, where G minus Tg dash and G dash is marginal product MP of medical care and time. The relationship measures change in gross investment due to change in education, which is measured as average of change in marginal product of medical care and time. If education raises marginal product of medical care and time by same proportion, then it assumes factor neutrality and the condition simplifies to RH is equal to G hat is equal to G dash hat. Equation 28. Increase in marginal product implies fall in input quantity to produce gross investment. Therefore, pi hat is equal to minus RH is equal to minus G hat is equal to minus G dash hat. This implies increase in marginal product by 1% due to increase in education will lead to fall in the price of gross investment by 1%. The corresponding increase in health demand is given as H hat is equal to RH into epsilon, equation 30, where RH measures percentage increase in gross investment due to increase in education. But this will not affect the medical care demand or own time if H hat is equal to RH. So any change in medical care demand basically measures the difference between H hat and RH. Further, more educated individuals will demand more health but less medical care if elasticity of MEC is less than 1 because M hat is equal to TH hat is equal to RH into epsilon minus 1. Positive RH in the Grossman's model leads to the conclusion that education increases market productivity. Increase in education produces a rightward shift in demand, that is, shift outward in MEC. As a result, optimal health stock increases as shown in figure 5 below.
The Grossman's model of healthcare services is a model of demand for good health. One of the distinct features of the model is that healthcare is viewed as investment and also a consumption commodity. He found that supply of health increases due to increase in rate of depreciation of health stock with aging, and demand of health increases due to increase in wages and education. Another implication of this model is that increased rate of depreciation with age leads to fall in demand of health capital. Shadow price rise at some point of the life cycle given MEC is less than 1. Demand for health stock and medical care is positively related to wages. Increase in education increase the optimal stock of health. The healthcare model has looked into the impact of variables like age, depreciation, and knowledge on health stock and healthcare. He concluded on the fact that health capital is different from other forms of capital, and the demand of health services is a derived demand that produces demand for other commodities, that is, good health. Thank you.